Good shot, kid. I think you got him. Good shot, kid. I think you got him.
Hello there and welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Today we'll continue on with Let's Play. This is episode 86. In today's episode we are taking a look at the trucking side missions. These are available after the mission Tanker Commander for Catalina and can be found out here in Flint County in Mr. Whitaker's shack. Simply travel into the Red Corona and then you will begin your mission. You're given a truck and a trailer. The truck and trailer are randomized, however the missions themselves are not. There are 8 totals and there are 3 different types of these missions. So there's timed missions where you must deliver the cargo within a set time limit, which as you can see this is what this first mission is. Fragile cargo, which requires you to deliver cargo which can be damaged and you will have your money knocked off for a successful delivery if you damage it. And then illegal goods, which essentially give you a few wanted stars and then you've got to drive those drive the truck and trailer across the state with wanted attention, which isn't so much fun. Each of these 8 missions are not randomized, they all have their set parameters and also a set number of locations you can drive to. However, the first couple of missions, not so much. For example, this first mission will always require you to deliver to Red County, and it's always a timed mission, obviously, and you get $1,000 for delivering it successfully. So I guess with this mission you get a introductions to trucking, sort of feel out how it feels to drive with truck and trailer. I tried to take a shortcut here and it didn't really work out. But yes, each truck and trailer is randomized. There's not really too much advantage to any particular truck. I'm sure one of them is slightly quicker than the other ones, but even the speedrunners aren't particularly bothered by what truck they get. So it's all relatively the same. So I won't worry too much about the truck and trailer you're given. Mission number 2 requires delivery to Montgomery. And this is a fragile cargo. As you can see, fragile load, deliver the goods intact or lose cash for damages. So this delivery is worth $1,500 in pristine condition, and of course there is no time limit. Montgomery is the location for this and the only location for this. After this mission there's a couple of different locations you can get, although usually they're all relatively within the same vicinity. So for example, we'll just skip forward quickly to the next mission. It requires you to deliver to South Los Santos. There's about 3 locations in South Los Santos that you could deliver to, but they're all sort of in the same place, so it doesn't really matter all that much. I will also point out on these fragile cargo missions, for whatever reason the truck itself is also fragile. There's sort of grey smoke usually billowing from the truck, so just be careful. I mean, you should be careful anyway when it comes to these ones, but at the same time there's not an awful amount of money to be made, especially at this point in the game if you're doing it this late into the game with these fragile cargo missions, so it shouldn't really bother you too much. The truck and trailer can take a decent amount of punishment, and of course if you damage the cargo beyond the damage bar then you'll just fail the mission, which is fair enough. I'm not usually this bad, I'll be honest. I did notice this sort of in editing it afterwards, that I drove the fragile truck missions. I've got no idea why, but I drove these really badly. Usually I'm pretty good with them, but yeah, not so much. I guess I haven't played American Truck Simulator in a while, so maybe I'm just not used to driving rigs and cargo, but yeah, I didn't drive all that too well during these, so I do apologise for that. But realistically, even with my piss poor driving during this, you can see it's pretty hard to fail these fragile cargo missions. And again, the one nice thing is fragile and illegal cargo never cross over, which is wonderful because the illegal missions are by far and away the hardest ones that you will hit into. Anyways, as you can see here, delivering it off, you don't need to park it up or anything like that. There's no, apparently you just park it in the middle of the road and they will handle the rest of it. So that's apparently the way it works. The third mission requires you to deliver illegal cargo to South Los Santos. In this case, I believe it said Ocean Docks. We are delivering to, and for this illegal cargo you get 3 stars that do not wipe. The 3-star wanted level is permanent during this mission. Now this one can be tricky. The police have a really nasty habit of trying to ram you off the road in GTA games. They're very aggressive, and while the truck has a decent amount of mass behind it, if a cop car, which can very much happen, gets lodged between truck and trailer, that's when you can hit disaster. I don't think I ever disconnected a trailer during any of these missions in the gameplay you're seeing. However, if you do happen to get the trailer disconnected, you end up getting 60 seconds to reattach it, but that can be a real nightmare when the police are around you. Realistically, these illegal good missions are all about speed. It's all about keeping your speed up, making sure that you're not being stopped, because the slower you go, the more likely it is for a cop to jam himself underneath the trailer or sort of make some weirdness go on with the truck. These things don't have the best of physics. Anyone will tell you that who've played this game. The trucks and trailers can often have quite humorous physics, so you definitely need to watch for that. Also, the trailers have no weight behind them, unlike in real life where a trailer would have weight behind it and mass. The truck has a decent amount of mass. The trailer itself is actually pretty flimsy, so definitely want to be making sure you're going as quick as possible and that they're not messing with the trailer too much. I have no idea what the illegal cargo in this trailer actually is, considering it's open top and you can see there's nothing really in it. Maybe there's some cocaine wedged underneath the floorboards or something, but not too sure. Either way, we got the road train, which has ram bars on it. Maybe it's the most durable truck, but again, sort of your choice on truck doesn't really matter. They're all relatively the same, and it's just easier to take the truck you're given instead of trying to spawn a new one. You're much better off location farming instead of actually sort of trying to get the correct truck, if you will, because usually location is far more important to this. You want as short a location as possible because there's less time to mess it up. Either way, $2,000 there in the bank. The fourth delivery is to Angel Pine / Whetstone. Can be either of those two. It is a timed cargo mission, no fragile cargo here. Pretty straightforward stuff. I'm going to go ahead and speed this one up because there's not too much to talk about in this one. Because this one is just a timed mission up to Angel Pine, I essentially just jumped on the ring road going around Angel Pine. Watch out for the traffic because they can be a little rambunctious on the freeway systems. Of course, we've seen how the traffic reacts in this game while being on a freeway. They're a little bit mental, so just watch for that. But this delivery is very, very simple indeed. If it's going towards Whetstone, you can opt to use the country roads. Realistically, that's probably the safer way to do it. However, I just decided to use the ring road. You do use both routes during this, as you'll see later on. Anyways, that's $3,000 and the fourth trucking mission done. A very, very simple one indeed. The fifth mission is another fragile cargo, this one for $4,000. And it can deliver to Easter Bay or Easter Basin, which are both pretty good, sort of in the south of San Fierro. Or, if you're unlucky, you can get the battery point delivery point. I would recommend, if the battery point comes up, simply fail the mission by blowing the truck up. They do have fuel caps on the side of them, although they can be inconsistent, so maybe use a decent weapon during this to blow the truck up so you can get either Easter Bay or Easter Basin, just because it's a much closer destination. Battery point is essentially where Jizzy's club is, and you don't really want to drive that far around. They'll actually probably add an extra minute or two to your overall mission time, and there's no real point of doing that if you can avoid it. So yeah, definitely go for the Easter Bay or Easter Basin. Once again, I drove absolutely atrociously during this. You get $4,000 if you deliver the cargo in pristine shape. I did not deliver the cargo in pristine shape. I think I only got about $1,500 for this one overall because I got pretty unlucky with the traffic. But this route in particular is not too bad on the fragile cargoes. On the illegal cargoes, however, coming this route can be very problematic indeed, because the cops throughout this tunnel section, it's already a pretty difficult tunnel section to navigate at speed, what with all the cars spawning in. However, the police will make it really difficult for you. If you've ever seen a Hugo 1 live stream in 100%, you'll know how much trouble he can have getting the truck through that tunnel. So I would probably avoid this route if you are on a fragile mission going into San Fierro. Oh, sorry, if you are on a illegal mission going into San Fierro. However, for the fragile cargo one, it's not too bad. Realistically, if you have a lot more patience than I did during this, you can get this done fairly straightforward. However, I decided not to have too much in the way of patience. Also, this is the Easter Basin drop point. The Easter Bay drop point is actually within the airport itself, I believe, sort of near the underground car park. Number 6 on the trucking mission delivers to Angel Pine, Whetstone, Easter Bay, or Easter Basin. There's not really too much difference in either of those. I'd probably avoid Easter Bay and Easter Basin for the reason I outlined, sort of avoiding that tunnel. However, Angel Pine, Whetstone, you have to traverse these country roads, which are a lot easier, a lot less populated. Illegal cargo, once again, 3 stars, $5,000. This one is more difficult than the Los Santos run in certain aspects. I actually find this one to be easier overall, because the Los Santos one, you're in a lot more city streets, which are essentially a wall on either side of the road, a one-lane road. Whereas in the countryside, you do have a bit more freedom to try out different things. You can, there's not so many walls compounding where you can go. You can occasionally jump over a field or something if you need to avoid police detection. You can attempt some off-roading, which I did here, which really didn't go very well, so I ended up having to go this side of the windy road. Realistically, you can use the ring road for this. I preferred not to, because the ring road has essentially an ocean on one side of it, and I have this awful feeling that I'd end up getting just hit in the right way in order to fall into the ocean, which I don't really want to do. So I instead decided to stick to the country roads for this one, and we are of course going to Whetstone. The Whetstone drop-off point is in the, I'm trying to think of the best way to say it, junkyard. That's what it is. As you can see here, the cops, when they're going for their pit maneuvers, actually line up alongside you, and in the countryside especially, or even in town realistically, although you'll have more traffic to deal with while doing that. You can sort of nudge them a little bit, because they'll sort of stay locked onto you at a certain distance. It's usually about a car length. They'll stay away from you from the side until they initiate their attack. So you can actually sort of position your truck a little bit to maybe ram them into a rock or a building or off a cliff if you're really, really clutch and got skills to pay the bills. So if you really want to do that, then you can do. That's a great way to avoid being rammed off the road, which, as I've mentioned before, that is the biggest issue you've got in this, is potential getting rammed off the road. That is not so good. You definitely want to avoid that. But overall, this one isn't too bad. The one nice thing with the 3-star illegal cargoes is while the helicopter will show up, it will not fire on you necessarily. It does after a while, I believe, but it usually just sort of hangs around, which is fine. The helicopter firing on you with its machine guns, as you'll see later on, can be absolutely disastrous. So as long as you can avoid the helicopters, as I said, the truck, and indeed the trailer actually, as much as the trailer hasn't got much strength behind it, it can stand up to a decent amount of punishment. So that's worth bearing in mind. Either way though, there is this one finally done, $5,000, a relatively simple delivery. Trucking mission number 7 requires you to deliver to the Bonelands. I believe there's 6 total locations you can end up with this one. Fragile goods, $7,000. Ideally for this one, location wise, you want to go towards the quarry. Sort of an area around the quarry would be the best. The quarry is one of the delivery points, and I believe, I can't remember what delivery point I got for this one, but it's just up the road from the quarry. You could go as far afield as Vernon Meadows or El whatever that, El Quebrados, that's it, El Quebrados, that little town where you can find Barbara and get a safe house and stuff. You don't want to go that further afield, especially with fragile cargo, especially if you're not an amazing driver like I apparently wasn't. So yeah, definitely sort of go close towards the quarry, and again, it's just another time save as well. Going all the way out to El Quebrados will definitely add 2-3 minutes to your overall delivery time, which you do want to avoid. I am going to skip this up a little bit because there's not really all that much more to say about the fragile goods missions. Simply know your route, always be on the lookout. If you're a bit confused as to where you're supposed to go, because obviously this game doesn't have GPS tracking, do make use of your mini-map, because I know a few places in this game, especially towards the desert, can be a little bit confusing. Certainly, sort of some places in Bone County can be a little bit harder to find than others. Alright, here's the big boy, mission number 8. This requires you to deliver illegal cargo to Las Venturas. However, this time around, you get 4 stars. And 4 stars means a couple of things. It means the enforcers are going to show up, which are the big SWAT vans. The police are going to get more aggressive, and the absolute most detrimental of all, the helicopter is going to show up, and the helicopter will not hesitate to fire on you. Also roadblocks, actually, as well, coming to think about it. Roadblocks can definitely mess you up, but the helicopter is the biggest thing we are worried about here, because those machine guns can shred your vehicle in a matter of seconds. Even a big truck like this is certainly not bulletproof, so what I would recommend doing is using the train lines to avoid being near roads as much as possible, because the further you're away from roads, the police can't fire on you, you can't get into roadblocks, and also the helicopter won't really have a chance to fire on you, because most of the train tracks through San Fierro into the Bonelands are actually covered by tunnel, and then the ones in the Bonelands is pretty much straight lines, so you'll never really be slowing down enough for the helicopter to be able to get a decent lock on you. So yeah, I definitely recommend that. Another thing to bear in mind with this is watch on your delivery locations. There is one specifically you want, and that is the Whitewood Estates drop-off point, because that is directly off of the train line. You'll see what I mean later on, but I am going to speed this up just because it's pretty straightforward what we're doing. We're essentially following the train line. There's not all that much to talk about until we end up having to come off the train line, so simply stick to it. As I said, as you can see here, most of it is underneath tunnels or over bridges. The helicopter won't be able to get a lock on you. Chances are it won't even spawn anyway. You're not going all that fast, but the helicopter requires you to sort of slow down a little bit in order to pop up. Now, admittedly, on the PC version, this isn't too much of an issue, because if you use a replay, you can actually get the helicopter to despawn. But on the PS2 version, as we're playing, it can be more of an issue. This road near here, some of the police officers can try and get onto the train track. However, they'll usually sort of back down from that one a little bit. So here we are getting towards Whitewood Estates. As you can see, it is literally, I only have to travel on about 2 bits of road in order to get there. So you can see I'm sort of looking to peel off the train line now. I could have stayed on it a little bit longer, but in the end I decided not to. And as you can see, it's a very direct way, sort of near the Sindoco Abattoir, in order to get to our location. So as you can see, as little road use as possible. We're going to encounter a little bit on the way coming out of here, but yeah, the truck should be in a healthy enough condition in order to take the punishment that it will gain from the last little bit. And if you manage to get lucky, persevere, you will get $10,000, and that will be trucking complete. Once again, you get another asset from this one, $2,000, which is the usual amount, and not really enough to consider how awful the trucking missions were, but that's what you get. At least you get something for it. So, and of course you made a decent amount of money from the actual deliveries themselves. So that's the end of trucking. As you can see, all future missions will actually be randomized. Of course, though, you don't have to play any of those because the core 8 are done and dusted. So that is it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Next time we're going to be taking our last look at import-export with list number 3. So join us for that. Until then, farewell.
Uptown, downtown, speeding all around. The naked 47 got the power and it's bound to move any mother that gets in my way. Just another power machine on the freeway. Riding with me, there's my MC homeboy. Knowing the rules ain't part of his program. Finding the right way around this map might be pretty hard cause he's fucked on crack. G, Grand Theft Auto.